Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Well, welcome to Thursday. It is the Michael Dukes Show, broadcasting live across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator, and live around the world on the internet at michaeldukeshow.com, where you'll find links to the audio only live stream is up. You can go listen to the live stream there. You can also find links to our social media and podcasts and everything else there on the site. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's everything that you wanted and then some over there on the on the website at michaeldukeshow.com. Good morning to y'all. How you guys doing this morning? You ready to dive into it? Today we have got a lot of discussion. Full boat today. We're going to start off here in just a moment. We're waiting for our first guest to arrive. We're going to be talking with Kristen Coletti-Giesler from Soldotna. She is a family nurse practitioner and an advocate on the board of directors for the Northwest PANS Network. She's the author of the book, The Poor Man's Guide to Anti-Aging, Functional Metabolism, and Environmental Medicine. And she's here to talk with us today, or going to be here to talk with us today, about HB 292, which is in the Alaska House right now. And it's a bill that addresses insurance coverage for children diagnosed with pediatric acute onset neuropsychiatric syndrome, PANS, or pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorders associated with streptococcal infections, PANDAs. Pandas. That's just easier to say in the long run here. We're going to be talking with her here in a few minutes about that. And we'll be diving into that here in just a little bit. Kind of a interesting topic to get started with on this beautiful Thursday. And then in hour two, we're going to be joined by Ben Carpenter, of course, for our weekly deep dive with him into the behavior of the Alaska legislature. And his insight, of course, as a former legislator, always helps us get some more details on that. He is the host now, of course, of Oversight Live, which is a weekly, daily, Monday through Friday YouTube show that specifically deals with things going on inside the Alaska legislature. And you could find him at youtube.com/@OversightLive. So there you go. That's where it all is. That's everything that you could want and then some right there. Make it easy. Okay. So while we're waiting here for Kristen to join us here, quick roundup from around the state. 34 degrees here on top of the world in Homer, Alaska. It is just a beautiful, balmy day. Had a lot of rain yesterday. I went back and forth between Homer and Soldotna. A lot of rain going on up there. The snow is starting to deform and disappear and go away. And here's hoping. Here's fingers crossed that the next few days sees most of that snow disappear. Currently being reported in the chat room that it's 32 degrees in Fox, just north of Fairbanks this morning. Corey says you can smell the rain in the air. And Rick says 27 degrees in Wasilla, and KTUU reporting that it's 32 degrees in Anchorage. So the temperature seems to have evened out across the state. That's good. Maybe, I mean, I hate to say it, but maybe it's finally here. Maybe I don't want to press anything, but maybe it's finally here. The warm weather that we've been waiting for all winter long is maybe it's coming. We'll see. 34 degrees in Seldovia now being reported as well. So, all right, what is some of the things that are happening, and what do we expect to pick up with Ben Carpenter in hour 2? Well, there's some news stories, new things happening in the legislature. The big news was that yesterday they took a crack at the operating budget. On the House side, they had a long day as they picked up the operating budget yesterday morning. They spent 7 hours in the chambers, and they only had half of the amendments still on the table. Apparently, there's about 70 amendments that they are going to be trying to work through. 30 of them, 28 amendments were introduced yesterday, and only 3 of those amendments were adopted. Most of them died right along party lines. Currently, the biggest thing that people are waiting to see what happens here is the passage of a $3,800 statutory dividend. That's the that's the big thing right now. That was the bill that was the amendment that passed out of the House Finance Committee, and we have yet to see an amendment on the floor that's going to decrease it, although all the players expect that it's going to come out and be put forward. And I'll be honest with you, I fully expect that is going to die, that amendment is going to pass along party lines. I fully expect that the $3,800 dividend will die a painful death, although maybe we can make it so that those that kill it feel the pain, because I know it's shocking. I know it doesn't sound like me, but I am fully in favor of paying out a full dividend by drawing it from the constitutional budget reserve, because this death of 1,000 cuts thing is just, it's got to stop. It's just got to stop. You know, if we could just, if we take away the legislature's ability to kick the can down the road, maybe we would be forced to acknowledge the real problem here. The real problem is that we have had, legislators and legislatures that have just not been serious about getting the spending and the budgeting and getting a long-term fiscal plan in place. And they've always had something to fall back on. And in this case, they've had the CBR to be able to fall back on with their spending and know that they could. But you know what? If we just take that out of their hands and put it in the hands of Alaskans, $3,800 would do a long way to go into the hands of Alaskans. Then maybe we would get some real honest discussions about the state of the state. Now, the likelihood of this ending up down there is pretty slim, but you got to remember, if they put this to a vote on the floor, you've got all of those legislators who are now on the floor who are going to be up for re-election. And so now they would have to, so I mean, in one way, this is a brilliant maneuver to get this out on the floor, to get a $3,800 dividend on the line, and then force these guys to all put their vote on the record for it. That's essentially it. Now, do I think that, what do I think of the chances that it's going to pass? Probably not great. But a guy can hope, right? I can have hope that it's going to come out. I imagine that that's going to happen fairly swiftly. The author of the increase of the PFD, Jeremy Bynum, and we could say that Jeremy and I have our differences and issues, but boy, I appreciate him for putting forward that increased amendment in the House. He was the one that put the amendment forward to increase the PFD. And so thank you to Jeremy Bynum for doing that. He said, I'll wait and see what happens on the floor. You never know what amendments are going to be offered until it's offered. Andy Josephson, who is the co-chair of the House Finance Committee, had previously told the KTUU in February that he believes that a dividend would be valued somewhere between $800 and $1,400. And so, again, I fully expect that they're going to try and drop an amendment in there, and it may be voted on with part. But you just never know. Neil Foster's going to be on your side. That'll be interesting. Neil Foster is going to be up there. So we'll see. He's going to definitely be voting in favor. Nellie Jimmy is obviously not. She's been going the other way. But who else is going to vote for a full PFD and be able to look their constituents in the eye? They'll sell it as, well, we just didn't want to drain down our savings, and we didn't. But it's something. It's something going into this election season that will be important to know. One other thing was also on the docket yesterday. Amongst all those amendments, there was an amendment that tried to kill the one-time $158 million education funding increase. It's a one-time education bump that would have been placed in the BSA as a one-time deal. And it was snuffed out by the House majority and Kevin McCabe, who voted for it. I'd be interested to see why Kevin voted for it. I mean, I don't have a problem with it necessarily, except for that Himshoot and company and Loki Tobin and that whole crew, they want this to be permanent. Stephen St. Clair from Wasilla, who presented the amendment to kill the increase, said no schools should receive more funding until there's reform in the system and results from the increase over the summer are shown. That's the thing, right? Show your work. But we'll see. There is also a question about whether or not there's going to be a permanent BSA increase. She has Rebecca Himshoot was mentioned as she has her own bill that would pass it as a permanent increase, and that the one-time increase would become void. But there's a lot of contingencies going on in this. So anyway, they're going to pick it back up again today. Half of the amendments down, half more to go. Then it goes over to the Senate for the Senate to have their crack at it. And then you come back and they come back and they do a conference committee or whatever there else, all they go. Yeah. So we'll see. But like I said, I'm kind of just wishing that they would pass this bill and get this money into Alaskans' hands. They sure could use it. Oil at 120, Alaska crude at 120 something dollars a barrel yesterday. It's gonna be tough. What did I pay in the Nilchik yesterday? I think it was $5.19 a gallon in Ninilchik yesterday. Oof. All right, we got to go. Back with more. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Man, where are we? Oh. Craig, I hate you so much. He started talking about, have we started talking about deferred maintenance yet? Okay. Oh, hey, Rep Biden was actually in the room. Look at that. I didn't even know that. I mean, I wasn't just kissing up. I didn't even know that. He said, this is a good bill. It's being held up in committee. Is that a different bill than what we were talking about? I don't know. Anthony said, good morning, folks. Missed you guys. Busy season. Been keeping up on the radio and just yelling random insanity at the steering wheel and pretending I'm interacting with people. It's good to see you, Anthony. We were starting to worry we were going to have to send out the St. Bernards or something for you. It was wild. What? Brian's birthday? What? Is it Brian's birthday today? We gotta, I mean, it's Brian's. Come on. It's your birthday. It's my birthday too. No, it's not my birthday too. Yeah. But hey, congratulations, my friend. Congratulations. What are you, 39? Something like that? I mean, you don't look a day over 50. If you're 39, you don't look a day over 50. School buildings are literally falling down. We can't spend money on stupid dividends. We have school buildings to fix. I mean, wow. The answer from yesterday is that the earth is flat. What? Paul says 3,800 never going to happen. Man, don't kill my dreams, man. Don't kill my dreams. The majority voted down a child advocacy center in Kenai and Soldotna. Of course they did. I mean, it's only for the children when they are the ones that are in charge of being in for the children. Yeah. I don't know. Good morning. All right. Rob says oil dropped yesterday about $20 after the ceasefire was announced. The ANS numbers you see posted are a day behind. I understand that there's, volatility and timing delays and everything else. I'm just saying we could really use that $3,800 per person in the private economy. Am I wrong, Rob? I mean, am I wrong? I mean, it could be back down to 100 today. I don't even know. I don't follow it that closely, and I quite honestly don't care. I just don't care. That doesn't matter to me. I'm just saying and proving that, hey, we could use it. Look at what the costs of things are going to be. All right. Oil back up, WTI 100, the Strait closed. Yeah, I mean, the Strait was open for what, 12 hours? Before apparently Israel decided that they didn't want to participate in the ceasefire and started launching stuff in Lebanon and Iran. I mean, what? Just what? The majority also shot down a fish hatchery funding in Fairbanks as well. Of course they did. Now, I mean, did we really need another fish hatchery? I mean, I don't know. I am not following that along, but, you know, Brian says he feels a week over 80 this morning. You know, enough bourbon will cure that. That's all I'm saying. Enough bourbon will fix that for you right now. No, our oil doesn't come through the strait, Charlie. But, I mean, it's indicative of kind of the whole market, right? I mean, it's okay. All right. Well, I don't know where Kristen Coletti-Giesler was. She was supposed to, as of last night, she was ready to go. But I don't see her. So maybe there's a miscommunication there. Maybe I misunderstood. All right, let's get back to it. Here we go.
Today's recipe is the important Alaskan news of the day with a dash of sardonic smile, a pinch of eye twinkle, not that you can see that on the radio, and a touch of acidity. It goes down easier like that. Don't question our recipes. The Michael Duke Show.
Okay. We're back. We've got got a lot of things. A big happy birthday to Brian in the chat room. Brian helps me with a lot of stuff. He is my unofficial moderator in the chat room. He helps me out with some things sometimes when I'm not paying attention and I'm on some kind of rant or something like there. And so Brian has been kind enough to kind of back me up on that. And so Brian is he says he feels just a week over 80 today, but he couldn't be a day over 56. I don't know how old he is, but happy birthday to Brian. And thank you for all you do to help out the group and the Common Sense Corps and everybody else. So I would be remiss if I didn't offer a big happy birthday, happy another trip around the sun to Brian, who's doing good. He's doing good out there. Not sure where our guest is. I just went back during the break and I took a peek at our email exchange just to make sure that I didn't screw something up. It was tomorrow. The deal is the thing. Here's your link. I don't know. Maybe something happened. So we were expecting to hear from Kristen Coletti-Giesler to talk about this HB292, but no, it's not showing up. So we'll push that off, I guess. And this has been a week. I mean, I thought I had this whole week dialed in, Glen Farn and this and that and the other thing. And instead, I'm over here. I'm over here doing it. We're doing it live. We're ready to go. So I guess we'll get back to some of the stories. Luckily, I had some stories kind of packed up underneath the under my skirts, ready to go. This $3,800 PFD debate, though, is the one that I'm going to be watching. That's the story that's going to tell the tale of where we go. Because when it's all said and done, this will show you where their priorities are. Is the priority, and well, we already know where their priorities are, but this will just confirm it. Are their priorities on protecting the state spend, or is the priority to make sure that Alaskans are taken care of? And we all know that the priorities are the state spend, right? We all know that is that's where things are going. So we'll see. I mean, again, Andy Josephson was like, hey, it's only going to be an $800 PFD this year. I mean, you got a $600 million windfall, and you couldn't be bothered to pay out a full or even close to a full PFD. In fact, you want to cut it back. But like I said, it would be no surprise to me if the PFD just essentially went away next year. So we'll see. We, man, I don't, I don't even know if I want to dive into this story. This just, I'll talk about it real quick. Okay. They sentenced a soldier from Fort Wainwright on Friday to 32 years in federal prison after authorities said that he possessed thousands of images and videos of CSAM, which is child exploitative material. You know what I mean, right? They said this guy, David, who's only 21, by the way, will spend the rest of his life on supervised release after serving his prison term. You know that the recidivism, I mean, I am not one to give the government as much authority as they can take, but at some point, once you've been convicted of something like this, you just under the jail, right? You just give them the lead pill and they're under the jail, because people who would exploit or abuse children do not deserve a second chance. I'm sorry, that may sound unchristian-like, it may sound whatever, but people who have taken advantage of children do not deserve a second chance. Because again, the chance that they will repeat or that they will, that they will turn, it just endangers another child's life in that regard. Their life, their well-being, their mental health. They began to look into this guy back in September of 2024 after they received a cyber tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children reporting that 5 suspected child images had been uploaded to Discord. They executed a search warrant on his home, his devices, and his Discord account. They found a whole bunch of stuff, including stuff generated by artificial intelligence and computers, and some of the files showing actual violence against the children. And he also, well, there was other sadistic acts, which I don't even want to get into. This guy just deserves a bullet in the back of his head. Okay, I don't know how to say that you cannot, when it comes to child predation, there's just no the chance that they would repeat or have recidivistic behavior is great, and the ones that would be hurt by that lapsing would be the children. I cannot put it any other way. That life in prison would be, the minimum for me. Not 32 years, life in prison. I don't even want to read on the air what this guy, all the things that this guy did, but it was more than just he had some pictures, okay? It was more than that. And it's so frustrating to watch this kind of stuff happen and then be like, oh, well, they're going to get a few years in prison and then they'll be out. And now, they say 32 years doesn't sound like a few years. But what'll it be with good behavior? What'll it be when the parole happens? What will it be when that all happens? And then whose child will be safe in your community after they are released? Oh, don't worry. They paid their dues. For most crimes, I could say maybe they've learned their lesson. But crimes against children, I'm sorry. Maybe I overstepped when I said that earlier, but to me, there's only one type of medicine that fixes that. It's the pill, the lead pill. That's the only type of medicine that fixes that. Because then you are 100% sure that they will not repeat. Now, once again, Once they've had their day in court, once it's been proven, once they've been convicted, right? Innocent until proven guilty. I'm not saying but once it is, it is the one crime that I am immediately wood chipper go burr, right? Feet first. That's all I'm saying. There is no, again, these people were amongst, this guy was at Fort Wainwright. We've seen this happen. We've seen this happen with teachers in Fairbanks. We've seen this happen with doctors down in the Mat-Su. We've seen this happen with, there was somebody up here in the Kenai. I mean, we've seen this happen more and more and more. And it's something I feel strongly about, in case you haven't figured it out. I mean, it's because to me, yeah, does the child or the children involved, do they recover in the 32 years that he's in prison? Or are they damaged for life? Do they have lifelong scars from that kind of stuff? Yeah, that's exactly it. I know technology is amazing and has lots of positives and proofs, but this is one of those things where the ease of which these these scum have been able to find each other and be on the dark corners of the internet or whatever and be able to share things and do all that. That is one of the downsides to the technology. And like I said, when you find these cats, when you find these people who are doing these kind of things, you need to very carefully pick through it, find each and every one, connect all the dots, find them all, put them on an atoll and nuke it. That's what you need to do. You need to clean the gene pool from that kind of behavior. That is, yeah. I just, Richie has a plan that's environmentally friendly. Crab pot, no buoy, sand fleas, problem solved. I mean, okay. I mean, if whatever. I don't even care at this point. I just want them removed from the gene pool because we don't need that kind of madness and that kind of damage to be done to our children. There's just no, no. I don't know. I was not expecting to get into that story today. I feel very strongly about it, obviously. And I'm sure I'm probably going to get a strike on whatever platform that I'm on because I said just do it. But hey, it is what it is. If you can't get behind the idea that somehow somebody who is a pedophile, who has not only pictures and other things, but has encouraged behavior and was attempting to, I guess I would just say, he had sought local information for victims so he could kidnap them. That's about as much as I'm going to read of that. He had sought local information for victims so he could kidnap them and admitted to doing so to one 9-year-old child. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. That's right. Under the jail. I'll take that strike. I guess I'll take that strike on whatever's going on because I feel so strongly about it. You should too. You should too. That's not a lifestyle choice. That is one of the most heinous crimes that you can imagine against a child. Okay. Wow. Was not expecting to go there this morning. So here we go. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll return in just a moment. Don't forget, Ben Carpenter is going to be joining us in a hot minute. We'll be talking with him about what's going on in the legislature. We'll return right after this.
is that?
Common sense. Regularly heard on American radio. Michael Duke Show. Radio.
No, the more I read about this story this morning, the more that it is just horrific. All the stuff that this guy had planned and things that he was doing and everything else. Yeah. It is it's crazy. He was arrested last March on Fort Wainwright. They indicted him a week later on 3 counts of production of CSAM and 1 count of possession of CSAM. And he pled guilty to all that stuff. 32 years. That's all he's getting. I mean, I know his life probably won't be great in prison, but because from what I understand, they definitely do not like child predators in prison. But there you go. FBI field office in the FBI Anchorage field office said mayoral crimes were depraved and an affront to our society. You think? I mean, you think? Yeah, I'm with you, man. Again, wood chipper, burr. Burr, burr, burr. That's what it sounds like when it's gonna do it. And it just seems to be popping up more and more and more. And yeah, I would say the same thing to anybody who was who gets convicted on this whole Epstein thing. Yeah, I would say the same thing. That there's a lot of crazy stuff that's been going on around the country, around the world. Just seems to be more and more prevalent. Corey said, "It sounds very Christian to me. Who would tolerate, let alone forgive something like that? I mean, probably the Lord, but he's better than I am. So there you go." All right, here we go. I'm going back up through here. Brian controls the First Amendment right in the chat. What? I don't understand you sometimes, Frank. It's like you're purposely trying to be Harold, to just throw the hand grenade out there or something. He doesn't control the First Amendment. I let a lot of stuff through here. There's only a few times where I've had to delete or block people. And that's mostly because they won't listen to reason and they get anyway, I don't care. It's my show. Do what you want. Damn. Okay. Anthony, get convicted as a child predator. You now are in jail and subject to experimental medical testing. Let's extract some good out of them. Wow. Let's see. Waste of tax dollars keeping him in prison. I mean, yeah, exactly. Carrick and Dibbert voted to close the Fairbanks fish hatchery, said Barbara. Jeez. Chris says, who's getting convicted from the Epstein files? I mean, right? I mean, where are the convictions? The public is outraged, but where's the outrage from the powers that be? Folks, they're there to protect themselves. They're protecting each other. There's a whole bunch of these people up there that are in this thing they're all in it together, man. They're all in it together. Let's talk about something calming like deferred maintenance in schools. Thanks, Greg. Thanks. Chris also says our government cannot protect the Epstein billionaire perverts fast enough. I mean, I know, right? I mean, you're watching this whole thing. I mean, how long did it take them to finally get what information out we could? I mean, what? The connections on this stuff is just, it's kind of mind-boggling. And the fact that it took so long to get here to this point. I have been watching some stuff on the Epstein files, and it's just it's sickening. And it's also eye-opening to understand that, again, they're going to get away with all that stuff. That they're going to get away with all that stuff. And what can we do about it? Nothing. Except, I guess, build that bunker in your backyard for the end of the world, because that's what's coming. All right, we got to go. Bacon, bourbon, chocolate chunk cookies. Have a happy birthday, Brian. Oh, that sounds delicious.
On the Michael Dukes Show, we talk about the serious Alaskan issues of the day, but in a not-so-serious way. Because, first of all, we can't be bothered to take it seriously, and second of all, we may or may not be drunk. Here's Michael Dukes.
Wow. We were running amok. We ran a little bit far afield there in our discussions this morning. Of everything that was going on, some crazy stuff going on out there in the world. Okay, let's continue on. Joining us here in the next hour, here at the top of the hour, in just a few minutes, Representative Ben Carpenter, former representative, I guess I should say, Ben Carpenter will be joining us. He's now the host of Oversight Live, which is a weekly Monday through Friday YouTube show. Where he goes over the hot news of the day every evening about 7 p.m., the hot news of the day from the legislature, and comes up with a lot of good and, I mean, interesting stuff. I don't always watch it live. In fact, I don't often watch it live, but I do watch it on the replay quite frequently when I get a few minutes, and he's always got some good stuff in there, so you should go check it out. Oversight Live on YouTube. Feel free to dive on over there and take a look at it. Hey, Click Bishop has announced he's got a new running mate. That's right. He's got a new running mate. He has named Greta. I'm going to butcher this name. I just know I am, and I feel bad for Greta because I should know. Schauerch, S-C-H-U-E-R-C-H. Church, maybe? Greta Church is now his running mate for lieutenant governor. Now, apparently, it was widely expected in political circles because he wanted to put an Alaskan native on his ticket. She ran for a Democrat. She ran as a Democrat for House District 40 back in 2012. I mean, so she'd been around for a while. Back then, she was endorsed by Mary Peltola, who was at that point Mary Sattler, another Democrat, and she has since switched to become a nonpartisan. Okay. Real. I mean, you were a Democrat endorsed by Mary Peltola, and now you're a independent for sure, right? But I mean, you're hooked up with Click Bishop, so I mean, how conservative or we look. God love Click Bishop, okay, but we know that he is not a conservative Republican. He is very, very far from that. Anyway, this brings the second Alaska Native to the gubernatorial field. Oh God, I don't even know how to pronounce her name. Anyway, Greta, a lifelong Alaskan from Kiana, currently serves as an at-large board director and vice chairman of the board for NANA Regional, which represents 15,000 Inupiat shareholders from across Northwest Alaska and beyond. She also works as a senior advisor for government and external affairs at Tech Alaska, where she leads local, state, and federal government relations for Red Dog. We'll see. We'll see where she goes. I guess we'll see where she goes from here. But yeah, so Click Bishop, Click and Greta. That's the running. That's the match made in heaven. Again, she's a Democrat. He's a quasi-Republican. And that sounds just lovely. Sounds just lovely. Which leads me to, how much time do I got here? All right, we're gonna burn into this real quick. I've been sitting on this for a while. I've been wanting to talk a little bit about it. Greg Sarber, who you know as the Substack author over at Seward's Folly, wrote an opinion piece that got picked up by the Watchman, and it really has got some interesting pieces in it. He's talking specifically about these rhino legislators, okay? Rhino for Republican in name only, right? We've talked about them. Republicans who hold on to the Republican ticket, but at the same time don't vote the, they don't hold to the platform. They don't do these things. I mean, we're talking about, Louise Stutz and Gary Stevens and Click Bishop and Bert Stedman and Chuck Kopp, Kathy Giesel. You're getting my point, that the people that are problematic for sure. And he did an interesting thing. Greg Sarber did. He said, he basically asked the question, how can we get these folks out of the legislature? And is it because we can't get a good challenger, or is it because they actually represent districts that are relatively liberal and their defections to the democratically aligned majority is the will of their people? So he said he used what he found would be what he thought would be the most reliable liberal conservative indicator, and basically took a look at how their districts voted for president in the last election. And he found some interesting data. Kathy Giesel, for example, had 2 districts. She's in Senate District E, which is composed of Districts 9 and Districts 10. District 9 voted for Kamala Harris by 49% and Donald Trump by 47%. District 10 was almost the exact opposite. It was 49 for Trump and 46.45 for Harris. So that's interesting. That's very interesting. Bert Stedman is the same way. District A is made up of Districts 1 and 2. And in House District 1, 56% voted for Trump and 39% voted for Harris. So that was the red district. And then District 2 is split pretty evenly. There was literally 33 votes between Harris and Trump in the last election in that second district. Harris took the field by 33 votes, or is that right? 40 would be 43. Is it 40? 37 votes. Math is hard. 37 votes separated the Trump and Harris ballots in District 2. So is he really doing the will of his constituency when they came out that red? I mean, especially District 1, 56-39. I mean, that's a mandate, right? That's a 16-point difference there. So he goes on and he takes a look at these things. But I mean, again, Chuck Kopp, Louise Stutz, they are both overwhelmingly, those districts voted overwhelmingly for Trump. Jesse Bjorkman, overwhelmingly, it was 70-26 for Trump in those districts. And yet he defeated Ben Carpenter. Kelly Merrick, 57-38 in those districts and 64-31. Kelly Merrick, overwhelmingly red district, but they voted for her. So that leaves some other questions. What exactly was going on here, right? Greg said he spoke off the record with one of the Alaska GOP district chairs, and the chair indicated that the decision some Republicans made to join with the Democratic Party was, in his opinion, made for personal benefit or career advancement. And he goes on to talk about Louise Stutes of Kodiak. For the price of selling her soul to join the Democrats, she was able to trade her party loyalty to become the chair of the powerful House Rules Committee, which plays a crucial role. It's the gatekeeper for all the bills in the state house. She had a powerful position, but she also intends to parlay it into a Senate seat. She's already been endorsed by Gary Stevens for his seat, right? That's what happens when you're all connected together, apparently, in Kodiak. And the other thing that Sarber's conversations discovered was that the Alaska GOP is not actively recruiting people to run against these people who are, again, I guess for the lack of a better term, rhinos. This is people, this is supposedly the parties, and this has always been my problem with this whole thing. The parties themselves are the ones that are screwing the pooch on this. The parties should be searching out the best candidate that holds their values to the highest standards. Actively seeking people to run against folks who are running afoul of the party line. That's why they call it the party line. Right? But they're basically just letting it all happen, letting their identity be besmirched by these folks. It's time for the party to figure it out. It really is. All right, we got to go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Ben Carpenter's up next. Okay. All right. We're back. Ready to go. You don't understand how the party works, says Barbara. You're right. I don't, because I'm not a member and I don't care to be, because it's a total shit show. That's why I don't care to be, because it's a poo parade from start to finish. All right. Did you ever entice Warfield to come on your show? No, she promised a couple times and never came on. There's no big surprise there. I'm looking in the green room and I see both Ben and Kristen. Let's bring Kristen on, because I think maybe we got sideways here on the time, because Kristen, we're supposed to be here in the last hour. Let's see. Yeah, 6:05. How are you going to go back in time and we're going to jump back into this? Yeah, you were supposed to be here at 6:05. I apologize. I put that in the email.
No worries. I can definitely return to some emails or something.
No. Do you have time because I've got Ben Carpenter already scheduled for this hour.
No, that's fine.
Do you have time on Monday to do this?
I could, absolutely.
Okay. We can either do 6:05 or 7:05. Let's just schedule it right now. We'll get it locked in. How about that?
No problem. 7's fine.
7's fine.
Easy. Yeah.
7's easier than 6. I hear you. I hear you for sure. All right. Well, I'll send you a calendar invite for Monday then at 7 a.m.
Awesome. Thank you.
Wait a second. Before I screw myself up here, let me just do a real quick double check. Because normally when I'm talking to people about the show, I have my calendar open. and I was trying to rush it. Let's see. Today's the 9th, the 13th. Okay. Yeah. So 7 o'clock. I have folks coming on at 6. So 7 o'clock, I will send you an invite and we'll get you all squared away. Same link as you got here. So we're all good.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Kristen. Appreciate you coming in. All right. I thought, MD, you had your scalloped potato recipe on the site. I wanted to make it yesterday. Wow. I don't think we have the scalloped potato recipe on there. That's something from my wife, from her family, that I don't know. Oh, I do have it. It's in that. The secret to that is slicing it super thin. You got to slice them things, not paper thin, but pretty close. Credit card thin. All right. Ben Carpenter is in the wings. Let's bring him on. Good morning, my friend. How are you doing?
Good morning, friend. Good to see you again, Michael.
Yeah, you doing okay? You all ready for for today? Oh yeah.
Yeah. I got up extra early this morning. I'm like, I looked down and I was like, oh, an hour's already gone by. What the heck?
Yeah, what the heck is going on? I know, it's so quick. And I was not expecting to have to get on the, you know how it is, you get a guest and you're like, okay, I have some questions, and I was not expecting to go in that direction. And then I got onto some topics that get me heated.
But you're a professional, you can handle it.
Oh yeah, no, we got it. You slap a mic in my hand, I can talk about noodles for an hour if I needed to. I mean, anyway, you all ready for the discussion? What's on your mind today? What is the hot and heavy issues? I mean, I want to talk about obviously the $3,800 full PFD, where they're going with the budget, why they should pay it out. We should just drain the CBR and crash the whole thing right now and get it over with. That's kind of the direction that I'm going. Feeling a little doom and gloom today. But where are you? What are the hot things for you today?
Well, after watching the press conference yesterday and what happened in Senate Resources, it's clear to me that there are members of the Senate that just want to scuttle this gas line. And they're shielding their disdain for economic growth and private sector enterprise with this theory or this, I don't know, there's some people that say, oh, this pipeline will never be built because it's never been built, right? So there's always going to be naysayers about something that's big and takes vision and positive thinking as opposed to negative thinking. And I think that we've got senators who are caught in that loop, and they're going to use that as an excuse for why they don't need to adjust taxation that would make this project feasible.
Okay. No, I mean, I'm on the record as saying that I am hopeful but not optimistic about the gas line. I'm hopeful that it happens, but having seen this parade and this show, this is like a rerun. Having seen this rerun 15 times, I'm hopeful but not optimistic. I would love to see Alaskan gas, but it has to make sense and it has to get on there. So, all right. So what we'll do is we'll take a crack at my things here in the first segment, and then we'll give you 2 full segments to develop your thoughts on the thing. I did not watch the press conference yesterday. I was traveling back and forth yesterday between Homer and Soldotna and Kenai. So I was doing a lot of driving yesterday. So I was not listening or watching if I was listening to the press conference while I was driving, I probably would have driven into a bridge.
Yeah. What's even more telling is what happened to HJR 18.
Okay. All right. Well, you can give us the full rundown because I am not up to speed. I didn't get back home till 6 last night, so I went to bed. So anyway, give me. We'll take my point in segment 1, and you get the last 2. All right. So Ben Carpenter, our guest, we're going to return to him here in just a moment. The Michael Dukes Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Let's get this thing going. Here we go. We'll be back right after this.
Whoa, buddy. Buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That's just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Live around the world on the internet at michaeldukeshow.com and across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the program. It is the Michael Dukes Show, and we are ready to rock and roll here in hour two. We're being joined by our good friend Ben Carpenter, who you know as former Representative Ben Carpenter, but now he's the host of Oversight Live, which of course is a weekly, Monday through Friday weekly show where he dissects the hot news of the day, usually starting about 7 p.m. on YouTube. You can find him at youtube.com/@OversightLive. Or if you're here in the chat room, you can just look at that QR code at the top of the screen, and you can use your phone to find it and go subscribe to his channel. So, without further ado, let's get over to it and bring on Ben Carpenter this morning to discuss wood ticks, lunatics, and politics. How about that? Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Michael. Good to be with you again.
I think the lunatics and politics is like that's redundantly redundant.
Yeah, exactly.
It's redundantly redundant. The wood ticks is a whole nother discussion. I promised Ben that in the hour today that I would take up the first segment with what I wanted to talk about, and then I know Ben wants to get into this discussion of yesterday's press conference and the gas line and everything else. So. I won't take up too much time prefacing that. I will just say, Ben, $3,800. It's a PFD, right? I mean, Jeremy Bynum, God love him, put in the amendment in the House Finance. He got Neil Foster to vote for it with him. They were able to move it out of House Finance, and now the majority faces a quandary. They've got an election year. They've got a $3,800 dividend, but it has to be drawn from the CBR. And so now they have to make a decision on how to vote for this. Now, more than likely it will be voted down, but I am basically out there saying, you know what? Vote yes for it. Everybody vote yes for it. Let's take that money out of the CBR, because I've fully become convinced that nobody who's in power now, that there is not the political will to fix our problems financially in the state. I think you're proof positive of that, quite honestly. There is no political will to really address these hard issues, and there won't be until there is a crisis slapping us in the face. It's like the addict who will not change their behavior until they absolutely hit rock bottom. And I think that's where we need to go. And I think, hey, if we want to get to rock bottom now, what we should do is just carve off a bunch of this money and give it to the people themselves. They would at least have something to live on and buffer on while they're waiting for these high oil prices, inflation, and everything else. And at least, if we're going to drain the CBR, you might as well put it straight into people's hands rather than in government's hands. What's your take on the budget, the $3,800, the thing? Give me your thoughts here.
So the Senate in the press conference was the senators were asked by Jeff Lanfield about this $3,800 PFD and what the Senate thought of that. And it was interesting because the senators all looked at each other like, should we say it? Should we say it? Yeah, okay. You go ahead, Senate President. You can say it. And he says, oh, well, we think that it'll probably be around $1,000. That'll probably be where it's at. We just recognize that you can't have that large dividend because there's too many things that we've got to have to pay for. So I think it's clear. It's clear based on past experience and precedent and where the Senate, the leaders in the Senate are with regard to state spending, that the Senate or the conference committee will cut that dividend down to 1,000 or thereabouts. But I mean, in this press conference, they had Senator Tobin, who's pushing more education funding. So there is no shortage of demand for increased state spending on services and projects and things, right? There's no shortage of demand for that. So as long as that exists, there's always going to be a downward pressure on any sort of following a statutory process for determining the value of the permanent fund dividend. That's going to be the case, right? We're not even talking about the reduction in spending that would be necessary if you wanted to pay a $3,800 dividend, a statutory dividend, right? We have no problem. The legislature has no problem following a statutory funding formula for paying out money to education, but it has a problem paying one out to a dividend, okay? And it won't fix the problem, the structural problem. And this is what Landfield's question was. More than anything, he says, well, there's this statute that says this is the level, the amount of the PFD, and it's confusing people. It's confusing the voters and Alaskans because we never follow it. So why don't you just fix it? And Senator Stevens and all the other senators totally sidestepped the question. They did not answer the question. They didn't even address it. So it's very clear that they don't want to have to get into the structural conversation, the fix to the problem. They just want to keep doing what they do. And that, I tried to explain this.
It's avoidance as a strategy because they know if they had to take on the PFD structural issue, the formula issue, that they would have to stand behind some kind of vote that said, oh, you were going to get 3,800 or 4,000 or 35 or whatever the formula says. No, we're going to set it down to $1,000, and then they'd have to live with that. And that's the problem. They don't want to poke that bear. They know that people are okay with them just deciding on the way through. So that's why they keep ignoring the law. That's why they're avoiding it.
It's even more fundamental than that, I think. If you take a look at the dollar figure that's coming from the permanent fund earnings, you've got something that's growing, right? 3 billion, 4 billion, it'll be 5 billion, it'll be 6 billion. That's what's going to come from the permanent fund earnings if the permanent fund keeps growing the fund. Okay. What the legislators are doing is taking that large chunk of money. We're ignoring any kind of statute, and they're saying we get to divvy up this dollar figure. So who gets the money, right? Whoever gets the money is the ones that are going to keep us in power. So if there are more people voting based on what government can hand out to you, what government services, then that's the direction that those people are going because they're government centric. So any kind of decrease in that pot of money that's a self-discipline or a spending limit or anything like that, they're going to be opposed to because that's what keeps them in power. My ability to divvy out money to people who come to me seeking it is what keeps me in power. Paying a dividend by a statute is not going to help keep me in power when those people are the ones they're not ones that are electing me, right? So that's the fundamental problem here is that you've got people in the state of Alaska, voters in the state of Alaska, who are demanding more and more state spending to take care of them, and they don't see that they're already paying for it, and they'll continue to pay for it through their dividend. And they're okay with that. So if you're wealthy, if you're a business owner, you're empowering this kind of nonsense in the legislature by avoiding taxation, by avoiding reductions in spending, either of those two things. So that's the direction. So when you say a 3,800 PFD, there's never going to be a $3,800 PFD. Never. This legislature is not capable of addressing the systemic problem that we have when the statute says pay a certain dollar figure, and it would require them to address spending in other areas or taxation in other areas. They are not going to address that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree that this is shooting in the dark. I mean, I would love to see it. I would love to see a $3,800 PFD. But it's not going to happen. And Rob said it yesterday, and he said it again today. The average Alaskan voter wants high spending, no taxes, and a full PFD. It's that dichotomous, issue there where you can't have it all. And it's only going to be able to go for so long before something is going to give. I would love to see them vote. So what do you think? Give me your prediction here. The House they're going through the first half of their amendments yesterday. They got the second half today. I mean, this may make it out of the House with a $3,800 PFD because none of those legislators are going to want to vote against a full PFD. They'll pass it over to the Senate and let the Senate take the heat for it. Do you think?
Well, my summation here, my guess is if the House majority wants to make sure that there's not a positive vote, that there's not enough votes to spend out of the CBR, then they'll add something to the budget that's going to be unpalatable to conservatives that gets funded out of the CBR in order to cause a negative vote or a non-vote for spending out of the CBR.
Right.
And that means it gives Republicans something to say, oh, well, I can't spend out of the CBR because I don't want to do that. You got a $1,500 dividend. If I said yes to spend out of the CBR, then this other thing would have happened, and I couldn't do that in all good conscience. So there's going to be some shenanigans played. I think if this is what they really want to send to the Senate is a non-CBR vote, that would then back it up to a $1,500 dividend. And now the difference is $500 that the Senate and the House get to negotiate over. So it never goes to the Senate. Now, the other thing that's equally possible is that let's just take the cowardly approach and we'll send something that's totally unrealistic to the Senate and let them fix it. Right. And that's probably what's more likely to happen. They just leave it as it is.
That's kind of what I see is that they, instead of getting into the weeds and instead of getting clever with additional CBR draws to make it unpalatable, et cetera, I see the House moving this whole thing out, lock, stock, and barrel to the Senate with the CBR draw and the full PFD and say, because they've already stood on stage and say, oh no, it's going to be, they'll take the heat for it. And I mean, Gary Stevens and company, they could take the heat for it. Now, what will that mean to Alaskans? Will Alaskans be upset by that, by the Senate doing that? I don't know. Would they hold it against people for voting against a full PFD? I mean, I would have said, 8 years ago, I would have said, yeah. I mean, 8 years ago when Walker first vetoed the PFD, I thought, oh, and these legislators didn't stand up and try and override him. Oh, they're done. I said, these legislators are done. Now, Walker was done. But none of the legislators felt the heat off that. None of them took any heat for not overriding the governor's veto. I thought that was the third rail of politics, the PFD in the state of Alaska. Turns out not so much. Final thoughts here on the budget and where we go.
As long as people are getting a PFD, as long as there's money in their hand, they're not going to complain about the money that's not in their hand. That's the reality. You got $2,000 or more that's staying with government, but I got $1,000 in my hand. I'm going to be happy.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. They don't understand that money is theirs and that they should be upset about that money leaving them, and not just that, oh, I've got $1,000 in hand, I'm happy. What if you'd had $3,000 in hand? What would you,
it's not the same. It's not the same human response.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, this is when Friedman talked about withholding taxes being Milton Friedman talked about withholding taxes being an evil thing because you just don't see it, so you don't feel it, kind of thing. And that's exactly what's going on here. It's a tax that we don't feel, and so we're not motivated to or agitated enough to get on top of it. All right, we're going to continue here. Ben Carpenter is our guest. Up next, we're going to talk more about the AKLEG line and yesterday's press conference, which I haven't had a chance to watch yet, but Ben obviously has been diving into it. and we're going to get his take on everything that's going on there. We'll continue. Don't go anywhere. Ben Carpenter is our guest, former representative and now the host of Oversight Live. You can find them. You can find him at youtube.com/@OversightLive. We'll be back. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty base, free thinking radio. Back with more after this.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Ha, nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
Ben Carpenter is our guest here on the Michael Duke Show. Oh, Lord. Randy's got it signed. I would love to get at least $1,000 PFD, but for the past 11 years, I've gotten a $0 PFD because the legislature has not replenished the CBR, which forces me to always send my check back. That's on you, Randy. That's on you. I mean, I love you, brother, but that's on you. You could have taken that money and done something good with it, but instead you gave it back to the state, and all they did was spend it. That's all they did was just spend more of it. That's all.
I'm glad Randy's sharing with us his moral high ground.
I mean, that's kind of where we're at. The when it's all said and done. Donna Arduin was in the chat room. She said, "Good morning, Ben, Michael, and Dukensians." And then Kevin said, Dukensians, Dukalites, Dukakins. I said Dukesters. You guys are all Dukesters. I don't know.
Dukesters.
I mean,
that rolls off the tongue a little easier.
Dukesters works pretty good. I mean, that's a work in progress, but I think you're all Dukesters here this morning. Yeah, a tax we don't feel, says Paul. Tell that to a family of four. Paul, I know what you're feeling, man. I mean, when Walker cut the thing, I had 5 kids at home, plus my wife and I. You don't think that I felt that, that $14,000 cut? You don't think that I didn't feel that? I mean, yeah, trust me, we felt it. But some people, like Ben said, it's $1,000 in hand versus the IFCOM of $3,000. I'm all, but I mean, I don't know what. I just don't know, Ben. This whole thing, like I said, I was so shocked when Walker cut the PFD and none of the legislators took any heat over it. I was just like aghast. I was like, I couldn't believe it.
It is a human nature to not be too concerned about the money that's being given to you. You would be more concerned if the money was coming out of your pocket and you saw it leaving. So getting less versus taking what I already have is the dynamic at play here. And that's why people they don't like, this is nonsense. People point to the creation of a broad-based tax in coupled with a statutory PFD, and you would actually end up with more money in your pocket with a statutory $3,800 PFD and a tax than what you have now.
Oh, Brad, Brad, you'd have significantly more money.
That's right. And one of the reasons why is because you broaden the base of people who are paying taxes, right? So now you don't have out-of-staters paying taxes. But if you had a broad-based sales tax, then you would have the millions of people that come through the state of Alaska every year spending their money here would be paying a portion of our state revenue that would be spent every year coming out of the general fund. They would be paying that. And then that would mean that you wouldn't have to have that money taken out of the dividend every year. Same thing goes when you're making an argument for an income tax, but that is a smaller dollar figure because there's less people working than there is people coming into the state with regard to tourism.
Exactly. Well, and of course that all is contingent on it's all contingent on making sure you have some kind of spending cap mechanism in place, because otherwise they'll just spend all the tax money and the dividend on top of it. That's the problem. Yeah. The biggest problem is going to be the cap. That's going to be the biggest problem for sure.
Well, we're in a pickle when we start talking about this pipeline project. It's going to be I hope that it's clear to people that those in Juneau right now do not care about the private economy as much as they do propping up the government economy. And it's oozing out of them.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And it leads me to this comment from Sourdough Steel, where I think this is how a lot of people are feeling. And this is why we're seeing this disaffectedness and everything else. He said, politics is just a joke. Honestly, at this point, what difference does it really make? And that's why people are throwing their hands up and walking away, because they're so frustrated with the whole system and everything else that's going on. So yeah, it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean that is human nature. Like we get frustrated when we have to deal with each other, but you're either going to deal with each other with politics, or you're going to deal with each other with your hands around the other person's throat in some sort of physical contact.
Other people's money, man. When we run out of other people's money, that's when things are going to get ugly. All right, here we go. We're jumping back in. The Michael Duke Show.
On the Michael Duke Show, we talk about the serious Alaskan issues of the day in a not so serious way, because we just can't be bothered to take things seriously. That's how you lose some hair. The Michael Duke Show.
Yeah, less hair every year. I don't know how that happens, but apparently. Ben Carpenter is our guest. We are continuing to talk with him. He's the host of Oversight Live, which you can find Monday through Friday, pretty much every day of the week over there on YouTube at youtube.com/@OversightLive. Ben, you got a chance to watch this press conference yesterday with the Senate majority. And of course, the big topic was the gas line, where it's going, and what's happening there. And you were just saying that the things that is oozing out of every legislator, and especially the Senate on this side, is that they give zero cares about the private economy. It's all about propping up the government spend. So give me your overall thoughts here and wrap that all up into what we were just talking about.
Well, it's interesting because they will say that they care, but their actions speak louder than their words. So in this conference, you've got Senate President Gary Stevens and Senator Giesler and Senator Wielechowski, along with Senator Stedman and Senator Tobin. And the concept starts off with Senator Stevens asking Senator Giesler to explain where we're at with this pipeline, because we got a couple of bills that are going to be necessary for moving forward on this pipeline, right? And Senator Giesler says, "Oh, we care greatly, and we want to see this thing happen, and we're going to spend every day this week for the next 3 weeks dealing with this issue. So we care, right? Show we care." Doesn't really talk about what happened in HJR 18. And it demonstrates to me their level of care for the project, the project that's before them right now. And
right.
I think
explain to people what HJR 18 is here, so that we have some background on what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that's really easy because I'm going to share my screen with you, and it's got the red line version. So can I share my screen? There you go. All right, so this is the red line version of what they did to HJR 18. Okay, so everywhere that you had the project, the Alaska Liquefied Natural Gas Project, that's the one that we have before us, they replaced it with a natural gas pipeline project. Okay. Replace the project with a project. Replace the project with a project. Delete, add in a project. Okay. So the whole point of this, and TDS was showing they just didn't want to have anything with regard to Trump in this, right? So the gas line project, delete out the project and just put in a project. Okay. So the whole point here, and we can stop sharing the screen anytime you want. I guess maybe I have control of that. The point that I'm trying to draw here is that Senator Giesler and Senator Wielechowski, and maybe the rest of the Democrats are just going along in the Senate resources. The whole point here is that they don't want to see a private enterprise be successful with this pipeline when an alternative of a government-run program would be preferable to them. Okay. So they're willing to scuttle this project. They're willing to put it at risk because the alternative is, well, if Glenfarne goes away and this project doesn't work, well, then they'll be in a place of, well, see, we told you so. The economics just weren't there. And the alternative then is to bounce back to what we had for a decade, which was trying to get somebody to buy on-to a state-run program where the state is going to manage the project and the state is going to own the project. Okay. But for more than a decade, you haven't found people who want to get involved in that. You haven't found entities that want to fund that because the state and the legislature are not trustworthy in this regard. They do not have the subject matter expertise. They cannot build a pipeline. That model, which is what is currently in statute, which is what the legislature established and said, this is what we want to try to do, doesn't work. It will never work. Industry, the private economy, the private industry is never going to reward the state of Alaska effort or intentions to have a state-run pipeline. What we do have before us right now is a pipeline project that is run by private industry and has our own people of our own consultants have said, hey, if the conditions are right, meaning government taxation isn't oppressive, then the economics of the project may work. But you've got people who have an ulterior motive of getting to a state-run project and scuttling this one, continuing to point out that, oh, well, this is not economical. It's never going to work, right? They're the naysayers. Well, the naysayers are the ones that you shouldn't trust. They don't have any way to get a project other than the one that's in front of you. They don't have a way to get it forward, an alternative project. The concept of increasing taxation on a different project that's a zero tax because you're never going to have that project. What you have now is a project that might work if the state keeps its appetite in suppression, right? If it keeps its appetite low and realizes that any tax from a project that gets built is better than no tax from a project that doesn't get built. The benefit, and this is a philosophical point, the benefit of an oil pipe or a gas pipeline from the North Slope is for economic growth in the private sector. It is so that families and businesses have stable and arguably lower cost gas for generations, and what that does to a private economy. That is the true value of having a pipeline built for Alaskans. It is not the tax revenue that comes from a project. That is not the greatest value to you and I. The greatest value is what it means for our economic prosperity. The taxation that would be coming to government has very little to do with your prosperity.
Yeah. You'll notice that if you throw that, go ahead and share that document again real quick, Ben. I pulled it off the screen all the way. But no, that was me because I was just thinking about what you just said. And if you look at that document specifically, where you were saying, leave it right where it's at. It says, whereas the Alaskan Liquefied Natural Gas Project, but now they've replaced it with the state. See, that's what they want to do. They want to swap it out to where it's not a project anymore. The state is the one that's doing it. They want the state to do it. This was Kathy Giesel's intent earlier on her thing too, when she wanted the state to be involved in every aspect, to be in every detail. They want to control it because they know better than you. They know better than Glenfarne. They know better than the producers. They know better than anybody else how to run this. We got this. Don't worry about it. We got this. That's what they want. They want a state-run project. That's what this is all about.
This current project and Glenfarne is going to get Gieseled right into the grave.
Yep.
She and her power in the resources committee, supported by a bunch of socialists, are going to try to kill this project. They are trying to kill the project. Their actions speak louder than their words. They can go to a press conference and say, we support a project. Their actions say, we don't want this particular project. And what is HDR 7 or HDR 18 here? It's not statute. It doesn't cause the project to go forward. It is just a message from the legislature to the world that we support the project. Nope, we struck that out. We don't support this project. We support a project, generic, as long as we control it, right? The state has the only federally authorized proposed. This is a philosophical, fundamental difference on where wealth comes from, where value is in our economy. For Giesel and the Democrats, it is in the state. It is the socialist state that takes care of everybody and owns things, right? What we have as an opportunity right now is the private sector to address this. And this is why your private companies got out in the beginning. Exxon, BP, they're like, we're not going to participate in this, right? And so here's where it leads to. This thinking, thinking to Giesel our economy is to go down this road of being a failed petrostate. That is what the state of Alaska is setting up here, and in favor of permanent fund earnings. So the economic activity that happens within the state that is of a private nature can be supplanted from the government's perspective, from pro-government people. It can be supplanted by this permanent fund earnings and this big worldwide economy that we're investing in, right? And government doesn't need to give you your check. It doesn't need to be redistributing of that money. It just needs that, meaning we don't need a dividend. All that money needs to go is grow government. There's nothing that is necessary down the road for a private economy, an oil economy, a private industry economy in the state of Alaska for the government's sake. There isn't a need for that. And so you get attitudes like this from those socialists who do not want to see private industry succeed because it's a competition with the government.
And this plays into the hands, of course, of the Democrats, who already have stated that their whole goal is to get Alaska off oil, right? They don't want Alaska to be part of the petroleum issue. And Kathy Giesel's in there saying she knows better than all of us how to run this thing. Just give it to her. She could run it. And like you said, she's going to Giesel the hell out of this thing. And any opportunity that we have could be lost. What else came out of this? We're down to the last 2 minutes for this segment. So what else were you, when you looked at this, and of course, here's the verbiage of HJR 18 is being all changed. It's cutting out every reference to AKLEG project. It's always going back to the state. The state has this, the state has that. The state is the one with the power, and the state should be running this. What else did you see on this, Ben?
Well, with regard to the pipeline, it was clear that the Gieseling of the pipeline is to protect Alaskans, and that protection of Alaskans is in the form of, well, we need to have tax revenue, right? So we're protecting you by charging higher taxes. Somebody is going to say, well, if we have higher taxes, then we can have higher dividends. Oh, that makes sense. But the higher taxes means the project doesn't happen, so you'll never collect the taxes. It's just a way to kill the project. So now they're going to need to find excuses that people buy as to why this project needs to not go forward, or if it's going to go forward, it needs to have a higher tax burden. Okay, so this is like you're playing a game in Las Vegas, right? It's a gamble. You think that you need higher taxes. You think that the socialist nature of this state needs to have state control of this project. Okay. So you keep going down that road. And at some point in time, private industry, like it did prior, BP, Exxon departed, ConocoPhillips departed, right? All of the majors departed. They said, we don't have any business in this game that we're playing with the state. At some point in time, you reach that threshold, and Glenfarne et al. Decides to pull up and leave. And you don't have an alternative. It's like you're rolling the dice, you're playing the game, thinking that you've got some alternative because the state statute says you've got the alternative, because you've got this concept of a state-run pipeline. But there's nobody that's going to be able to build that, Private industry is not going to partner with you. Investors are not going to partner with you because you are untrustworthy. You don't have the expertise and the discipline to make it happen.
No, you're power mad and you don't have the background to be able to pull it off. All you want to do is be able to have control. And that's the
exactly
problem. Again, all the control freaks in the legislature, again, with the problem of we know better than you how to X. Whatever it is, they somehow know better than you or better than Glenn Farn or better than the producers or better than fill in the blank. They know better than you because they somehow, by getting elected, now have all the answers. It's some crazy stuff. All right, Ben Carpenter is our guest. We got one more segment we're going to go through here. We're going to continue in just a moment. The Michael Dukes Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll return with more and Ben Carpenter from Oversight Live right after this.
Listened to by more staffers in Juneau than any other show because their bosses told them to. And after what they just heard, oh man, they're going to be pissed.
You're a bad, bad man.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I think Harold is missing the point here as well. He's like, oh, brother, Democrats are bad. No, it's just part of the equation, Harold. I mean, the Democrats literally came out when they had their meeting last year in Juneau, and they came out with their party platform, and it included eliminating oil and oil power from oil. I mean, that was literally what they said in their meeting. But no, this is not just a Democrat problem. You got Giesel and you got Giesel and Stedman and Stevens and all those guys in there who are all about taking control of all this stuff because they know better than you. I mean, Stedman is classic for somehow he knows better than anybody else how to put a budget together and everything. This is not a Republican versus Democrat problem, Ben.
No, but I mean, the Democrats are in a perfect position because they can Giesel the economy. They can Giesel this project and blame it on the chair. Like this is Democrats in control of the Senate being able to get their policies, and you've got a willing accomplice in this senator that knows nothing about growing prosperity, and she's willingly going along with it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the metrics of this pipeline have never looked better than they do look right now. Of course, we got the Iranian thing, which is helping us out and everything else, but it's the legislature that's going to either allow this or hobble it one way or the other. And I think right now they're moving in the full direction of hobbling it because they wouldn't have enough control over the project.
And the crazy thing is that some of the boroughs that are involved here are looking at the state and saying, you don't need to pass laws that take us out of the equation. We can negotiate with Glenn Farn. And I'm in agreement. I think that the boroughs and Glenn Farn can negotiate a path forward here that's beneficial for both parties. And the state needs to stay out of that conversation. The bill that the governor has put forward, I think, is part of the problem. Now, you can do some sort of a adjustment to the statute without taking away the borough's ability to negotiate some sort of agreement that the costs associated with the project are borne by the project at the local level, right? One of the arguments in the press conference for why they need to protect people, protect Alaskans, is because, well, during construction, this bill wouldn't allow any sort of recompense. All of these taxes would be abated during the construction parts of this. That's what current statute does. It's like a smoke and mirrors here. If you were to just leave the statute how it is, you would have taxes abated for the construction portion of the project. So the bill itself doing the same thing doesn't change that. Now, just because that's the case doesn't mean that you can't put a payment in lieu of taxes, a PILT process or structure in place through some negotiation through the boroughs that says, hey, you know what, the additional costs to the Kenai Peninsula Borough of this project coming into fruition and moving forward, those need to be compensated for. And that's something that the Kenai Peninsula Borough and the entity can negotiate. I trust that they can do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would think they would be able to do that. I mean, we've seen what happened with the oil pipeline, same kind of thing. I mean, yes, it gets messy, and yes, it gets contentious sometimes, but it does work. Why are we trying to reinvent the wheel on those things? Other than the fact that a lot of these legislators want to have their finger in the pie and their finger on the scale when all these things
and that's you cannot separate also the other entities in the state that stand to benefit from the pipeline being scuttled. Okay. So we're talking about the importation of LNG. You've got Chugach Electric, who's got a stake or a goal here of importing LNG down here from the Kenai. You've got Enstar's parent company that would be selling Alaska LNG, importing it here. So you've got this other economic interest that exists in the districts of these senators that can't be ignored either. So if the pipeline gets scuttled, well, the fallback is not another pipeline. The fallback is import LNG. And we're okay with that because our constituents are okay with that. The lobbyists are okay with that.
At a price tag of $250 million per facility plus whatever, all of it ending up on the back of the ratepayers, right?
Yes.
There's no private investment. There's no private equity in that. It goes right back to, that's what Enstar is asking for right now. They're asking for a waiver from the RCA so they can pass that $250 million price tag for their new import facility off to the ratepayers. So, yeah, I mean, they don't care if there's gas or not coming in because they've already got a plan and the ratepayers are going to pay and everybody's, they're all going to, make their $400,000 a year, be fat, dumb, and happy.
And from the government's perspective, a pipeline and low-cost gas is not necessary. Whatever the additional cost to government is, it's going to get paid. It's going to get paid through taxes. It's going to get paid through your dividend. From the government's perspective, they don't need the pipeline.
Here we go. The Michael Duke Show.
Here on the Michael Duke Show, our libertarian talk means that both the elephant and the donkey gets mad at us. Pissing everyone off equally. Mission accomplished. The Michael Duke Show.
Yep. We just make everyone mad. Oh. And Ben just pointed out, made a good point. And Ben, I'm going to ask you to recap this. Sorry for your podcast people to have to hear it again, but I think it's important because I hadn't considered that if the gas line does go away, there are interests out there that are okay with that. And you were talking about the Chugach Electric and the Enstar, the two competing projects for importation of gas, where Chugach wants to get the Nikiski plant back up and running as an import facility instead of an export facility. But the even bigger project is the Enstar facility, where they want to pass on a $250 million price tag for a brand new import facility on Point McKenzie. And they want to pass that directly on to the ratepayers. They're already asking the RCA for a determination to say this is going to be okay to put this $250 million price tag on the ratepayers. So they would be okay with that because then they'd be in the catbird seat.
This you can trace this back to this incessant push. I would say incestuous at this point with government, this push to change our energy, transition our energy away from fossil fuels to wind and solar. Okay. You see this pressure in the utilities, and we've got an election going on down here at HEA, and you've got socialist greenies wanting to get onto the HEA board to change the direction of the HEA board. It is in their best interest, and it is in the board of Chugach's best interest, if moving to renewables is their goal, to keep the price of natural gas high, because then it means that their alternative energy sources are more competitive. Okay. So if you can scuttle the gas line project, which would lower the cost of gas in the long term, then your alternative is the projects that are currently at play from Chugach's point of view, which is importation of LNG. And that causes the price of gas to remain high, which means your alternative energy goals are facilitated. They're made easier going into the future because the price of energy remains high. Low cost fossil fuels means that the alternative energy of wind and solar is not going to be competitive because it's more costly than that.
Right.
So this is the concept that's at play here for the state of Alaska is this energy transition wants to see LNG imported versus low cost natural gas from the North Slope. And that is what I think is the ultimate driver here with regard to the politics in the Senate.
So where do we go from here, Ben? Watching this press conference yesterday, watching everything that was going on, where do you think we go from here? I mean, we've got, for the first time ever, it looks like all the stars are aligned, and of course we got the upheaval and the uncertainty from the Iranian thing is actually driving demand for more domestic production of gas and other things. I mean, that's a positive. I mean, it's a bad thing, obviously, but it's a positive. I mean, we've got an opportunity here, but it sounds like the legislature wants to squander it. Give us your final thought.
There was a great suggestion, and I don't know how successful this would be, but I thought that was a great suggestion on the show last night. People need to just send a message to the White House. Send a message to Trump that the Alaska pipeline is going to be gieseled. It's going to be scuttled by Giesel and the Democrats in favor of importing LNG, and get Trump's attention on this pipeline and figure out how we can move forward with this project. Apply pressure. If voters in the state of Alaska are going to stick their head in the sand and allow the project to be gieseled, then they deserve the outcome. If you're paying attention and watching what's happening in the state legislature, it is very clear that the Senate Democrats, along with Giesel and those Republicans that are empowering them, are going to kill this project. They're going to kill it, and they're going to find a way to make you believe that was their only option. And the alternative is going to be high-cost LNG imports. You can just chalk us up to being a failed petrostate if the state of Alaska has to import LNG when we've got tremendous amounts of natural gas in the ground.
Trillions of cubic feet of natural gas in the ground, and we can't get to it. And it's because our politicians won't get out of the way on this.
High-cost energy will get you an energy transition faster than low-cost energy will.
Right. Well, and this all goes back again to basically protecting the spend and protecting the command economy. Well, we talk about being the command economy where the legislature's in charge of everything. And that's where we're at right now. They don't want to have an ounce of that power slip out of their fingers. That's, I think, literally where this is coming down to.
This is a philosophical, it boils down to what is the purpose of government and what kind of world do you want to live in? We have more people in the legislature that want to see a strong central government divvying out the resources in services and programs, taking care of people. It is a lens by which you see life.
The dependency state.
The dependency state. Look at the European Union. Look at the socialist countries that some in the legislature are pointing to and saying, "Hey, look, we need to follow what they're doing. Look at what's happening in I was going to say the Netherlands. That's not the
Norway, right? Yeah.
Norway. Thank you. The other N country, Norway, Iceland, the other European countries that are doing this energy transition. Look at this, right? We need to. It's not working out good for the European Union and the European countries.
Yeah, no.
Energy wise.
Look at the struggle that they're dealing with right now, and everything else. We need to be pushing out on the edge of all this stuff. All right. Well, Ben Carpenter. Final thoughts, down to about 3 minutes here. Where does this legislature go? I mean, you want to put your Kreskin turban on here and your crystal ball and tell me where you think all this ends up here by the end of this session. I mean, we are officially what 6 weeks away from the end of session here, something like that. Five weeks away. Where are we at here? What's it going to?
You're going to get $1,000 PFD or thereabouts. It was very telling in the press conference that the education chair and the education task force chair was included in the conversation. The task force isn't supposed to bring recommendations until January of 27 for the next legislature. But with the increase in the price of oil, you can see the sharks circling, and there's blood in the water. There's more money to be spent. So I would envision that there's going to be some push to spend more on education here as well, both in the current fiscal year and next fiscal year, because the perception is we've got more money, and you'll get $1,000 dividend, and they'll expect you to be thankful for that. And they're going to try to scuttle this project, and they'll blame it on you and say you are demanding higher taxes. You're going to get your fair share. The Constitution says we got to have maximum value. And they will ignore the fact that there should be a dollar economic value placed on actually having North Slope gas in South Central Alaska and interior Alaska. They'll ignore that and quantify the value as the amount of taxes that the state can get.
Well, and that's the thing, maximum benefit to the citizens. That's what the Constitution says. And to them, it's just dollars and cents. It's not actual access to the resources. I mean, you don't think the people in Fairbanks would love to have access to their own gas? I just spoke to somebody yesterday, day before. Their gas bill in Fairbanks last month was $800. They would love to have affordable gas and access to their own gas in Fairbanks and everywhere else in the state. It's and of course, again, they're just gonna stumble along here, and we're gonna axe our own programs here because somehow they can't keep control of it. It's insane. 1 minute left, Ben. Final thoughts. Are you going to be on tonight? What's going on? Give us your lineup for the rest of the week. What are we doing?
I have a meeting tonight, and I've already notified the viewers yesterday that I will not have a show tonight. There will be no Oversight Live tonight. That's a problem with having a 7 p.m. show. You got other social engagements that you can't do. So
sometimes it
no
happens.
Meeting tonight. We'll be back Friday night.
You'll be back Friday night. We'll see what happens. And of course, he'll be back on next week here on the program on Thursday. Ben Carpenter, the host of Oversight Live. Appreciate you coming on, my friend. Thank you for being part of it.
Thanks for having me. We'll see you next week.
All right, folks. We are out of time for today. Tomorrow is Firearms Friday. Be kind, love one another, live well. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day. All right, Ben. I give you the chance to, where can we watch Ben's show? I may have missed it. I mean, come on, man. I've only posted it 73 times here. Oversight Live. And if you want to use your phone, there's a QR code in the upper left-hand corner of your screen right now. Just point your phone at the screen and snap it away. But I just posted a link up in the chat room that you can go take a look at. Yeah, all right, Ben. Go ahead.
I was just going to say we're successfully broadcasting on Facebook and X as well. So Oversight Live, just Google it or search it in your social media app, any one of those three, and it'll come up.
Okay, good. So you finally got the Facebook. You got out of Facebook jail or the starting blocks or whatever it was.
Probation.
Yeah, the probationary thing. So 60 days you had to be up there before you could do it.
And honestly, I've got more people joining from YouTube and X than I do from Facebook. I rarely have somebody on with Facebook.
Which is funny because most of my listeners right now, like we've got 22 people on Facebook, 15 on YouTube, and a handful on Rumble right now. I'm considering going over to X, quite honestly. But if I do that, I'm literally going to have to expand my plan, and I'd be able to do X and Rumble and everything else at the same time. It's only money, man. It's only money. Just one more.
It's crazy that more conservatives are not on X. I mean, it's going to be the algorithms are much friendlier to us than Facebook. But for some reason, we're like, oh, Facebook, it's comfortable. It's what I know. And so
it's easy. Facebook is easy. That's why they do it again. All right. Final thoughts for you, Ben, here on this. I mean, I can feel your frustration. I can feel your frustration watching this. And I mean, I see all this stuff, but what are your final thoughts here as we get ready to wrap this up here?
If there's ever a moment that people take some time out of their day to communicate their desire for the Senate to find a compromise and enable Glenfarne to get a project done, now is the time to start expressing that. You've got weeks, if not days, to make your case.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping to have Glenfarne. They reached out to me, thank goodness. We're hoping to have Glenfarne on the program next week to discuss the project. And I would love to see I'd love to see what's going on there. I'd love to get it straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So hopefully next week we have the folks from Glenfarne on to discuss it. So, all right.
Very good.
Yep. It's, I mean, I want to see what's going on here. Like I said, I'm hopeful, but not necessarily optimistic. And it used to be on the economics, but now with the Iranian thing and everything else, it's not so much the economics, it's the behavior of the legislature that's got me concerned right now. All right, Ben. Well, thank you, my friend. We will see you next week. And, of course, your folks will see you out there tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on Oversight Live. Thanks for coming,
Michael. Have a good day.
You too, my friend. Thank you. All right, folks, that does it for me. I am done for today. We will see you guys tomorrow. Be kind, love one another, live well. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.